In France, as President Emmanuel Macron faced another day of violent demonstrations, police vehicles were set on fire by protesters with Molotov cocktails. Thousands aired with heavily armed officers at an illegal meeting in Sainte-Soline, near Poitiers, on Saturday. They were protesting deployment of new water storage center, and they came a day after riots broke out elsewhere in the country over Mr Macron's plan to raise retirement age from 60 to 62, without parliamentary vote. These riots led to the cancellation of King Charles III's royal visit. A gendarme car is on fire during a demonstration in Saint-Soline. France protests were against changes in retirement, as well as a new water storage center. As country stands up to defend pensions, we will simultaneously stand up to defend water, said the organizers, who gathered under banner Bassines Non Merci. As violence intensified on Saturday, France's Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said extreme left rebels also used mortar shells to throw explosives at police. 3 police vehicles were completely burned and many police officers were injured. Meanwhile, prefecture covering Sainte-Soline said 2 protesters were in very serious condition after being injured, while the others were being treated at scene. Mr Darmanin said, in Sainte-Soline, the extreme left and the extreme left are extremely violent against our gendarmes. He added that no one should tolerate this. My full support to the police. Earlier this week, Mr Darmanin accused anti-government thugs of attempting to overthrow the state and kill police officers. The police have completely lost control, said one of the demonstrators in Sainte-Soline. Vehicles were set on fire with Molotov cocktails and they fled while the police were throwing tear gas at us. Riot-equipped police with Bassines Non Merci. Protesters' French union workers blocked access to the Fos-sur-Mer refinery during a protest in Fos-sur-Mer, near Marseille, against the French government's pension system reform. A police spokesperson said, explosives are being used against us and we are trying to contain the situation. There are radicals in the crowd trying to seriously injure the forces of law and order. He said an estimated 6,000 people attended the protest, ecological demonstrators swarming with those demonstrating against Mr Macron's pension reforms. Riot gendarmes ride quads, throw tear gas at protesters during demonstration. Police officers and officers of the French Republic Security Service stand by a burning tire fire outside the refinery during a demonstration. The Saint-Soline water reservoir is one 16 facilities developed by a group of 400 farmers to reduce the used tap water during the summer months. It came after more than a week of intense social turmoil in France that made it inevitable to cancel Charles' visit. Threats against him included the words "Death to the King," a gruesome message scribbled on walls in Paris by protesters. They encouraged Macron to say, "If we invite His Majesty King and Queen Consort to a state visit in the middle of demonstrations, I think it would be irresponsible and would lack common sense." Total Energy workers and union members hang a banner that reads, 64 years old, no, as they block the entrance to the Dombes refinery. Top politicians, including Mr Macron, were the last legitimate king and queen of France, 16. He had received threats reminiscent of the guillotine used to execute Louis and Marie Antoinette. The words "Death to King" even appeared on bright red graffiti on the Place de la Concorde, central square of Paris, where Louis and his wife were ED. In another scribbled message, "Do you know the Charles III guillotine?" was writing. According to security sources, the French feared that King Charles' safety could not be guaranteed as he was interested in mixing with the crowd. A team of crack officers from the SDLP Protective Service unit meticulously stewed the monarch's profile. French Republican Security Corps officers face retirement protesters on Friday. They noticed the king's habit of improvising handshakes and talking to ordinary people as much as he could, said a source involved in planning the 4-day events. There are enormous social tensions in France and there is no doubt that this kind of etiquette can be very dangerous indeed. The development has been a huge humiliation for Mr Macron, especially as the royal couple's visit to Germany next week will continue as planned. Éric Ciotti, leader of the opposition Republican Party in France, said the chaotic security situation was a national embarrassment. The visit of Charles III was cancelled by the government due to social unrest, Ciotti said. What a beautiful sight for our country, which cannot even ensure the security of a head of state.